Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, man. Hunt the ball. Let's go, family on three. 1, 2, 3, family.
Hello, football family. Welcome into Huddle It Up Films. Here we are, Week 16. Ravens at Bengals. Both teams 8-6. AFC North Championship kind of on the line. Looking at the playoff odds, with a win, the Ravens will be an 80% chance to make the playoffs. And this was according to Football Outsiders. It goes down to 28% chance of making the playoffs if they lose. So you win, you're 80% chance you're in. If you lose, 28% chance that you're in. So huge game, and those numbers look much the same for the Bengals. Joining me tonight, of course, Sergeant West, sitting there in the middle with the Jimmy Smith jersey behind him. How you doing, Mr. West, Mr. Sergeant?
All right. I'm doing all right, Jason. Thank you, sir. I'm
nice.
doing good.
And
yeah.
Jake couldn't join us tonight, man. So we had Alec from Ravens Recap also on the show weekly doing my NFL picks with me. Alec, man, thanks a lot for coming on, joining us for the show.
Oh, for sure. I've been watching you guys all season long, so it's an honor to be part of the gang tonight.
Yep. Filling in for Jake, man. We big shoes to fill, though, Alec. Big shoes to fill.
I wear 12s, so maybe I'm all right.
Yeah, you wear some 12s. Damn, man. All right.
Well, I'm not gonna say my feet size, man. Y'all gonna be
yeah. I'm Garnett. So, hey, tough game to call, though, fellas. Tough week to call for a matchup show. I mean, this is a nightmare for us because we don't even know really who's playing for the Ravens. At this point, only 15 players on defense on the active roster. It's not counting the practice squad guys. Just a huge deficit to overcome. Ravens that are on the COVID list right now include Josh Oliver, Geno Stone, Justin Madubuike, Chris Board, Christian Welch, Pernell McPhee, Justin Houston, Jimmy Smith, Sammy Watkins, Chris Westry, Chuck Clark, Tristan Colon, and then we go to the backup third-string quarterback and some practice squad guys, including David Sharp, who played right tackle for us last week. So a lot to overcome. Alec, how does this skew your view of the game, and do you expect this to get worse before it gets better for the Ravens?
Yeah, I think it's really hard to say for both of those parts because we know that Jimmy and Westry and Clark were all on this list last week. Or not. Yeah, they were on it last week. So there's a chance that they could come off of it in the next couple days and be available. Recording on a Thursday night. This game's supposed to go on Sunday. I mean, I don't know. The turnaround time is shorter now. It's only one day with the test. So there's a chance. But obviously, if these guys were actually sick with COVID, there's a good chance that they won't be really like all the way with it. So definitely there's an impact for sure. I think guys like Madubuike and Houston are out based off of the Lions game. If we can read the tea leaves there. Board might have a chance to come back. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. I still think this team's so darn well coached and resilient and gritty that the game will be close. But obviously, all these pieces are major pieces that you want and need to have. And if they're not able to fill up the roster with some more people, I mean, it's not going to be pretty, right? Like you were saying, we use a lot of these players either on special teams or special packages on defense. It's not like this depth is only there for injury. They're there for packages and whatnot. So it's a big hole to fill.
So, Garnett, I got to ask you on the offensive side of things, though. Lamar is still not practicing. If he doesn't play, I mean, really, a lot of the pieces on offense are there coming back. Pat McCary might be coming back this week. Do you have confidence that this offense can put up 24 to 30 points like they did against Green Bay? It seems like they're in a nice short passing rhythm with Huntley, which is what we've been calling for all year long. So can the offense keep it rolling per se?
I got to see it to believe it, man. You showed me once, but I got to see. We're not from Missouri. We're Baltimore fans. You got to show me, man. Show me something, man. I got to see consistency. That's why I think we've been beating the table. All the little sayings or whatever. But if we can see it 2 weeks in a row, not only what's this? I ain't gonna ruin the car. It was a good. The curiosity, you have my attention. Yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah, it's one of those things where if I see it back to back, okay, I have it. But I can't tell you, man. Like I'm not going to go into whole, Huntley and Lamar crap. That's not even waste my time. But if we can get that same type of offense that we've been seeing with Huntley with Lamar, man, that would be so scary in so many different ways, bro.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll of course, dive into the offense, but yeah, with Huntley, it gives me confidence that we can win this game if we can tackle and do some things better on defense. I'll never count the Ravens out of a game. Like Alex said, we already been through so much this year from the very start, and just keep showing up and keep playing close games, win or lose. Every game seems to be close. So, guys, let's start when the Ravens have the ball. And let's start on the offensive line. We touched on it for a little bit. Offensive line coming up one of the better games that it's had, and I'm sure you guys saw on the channel. I did a cut up of the pass protection of the offensive line that included Ben Cleveland. So now it looks like we'll have Villanueva at left tackle, Cleveland left guard, Bozeman at center, Zeitler at right guard. Those guys look like they were in a groove together, and hope to get Pat McCary back on this line. The opposing side, though, is pretty daunting. Garnett, you're talking about Trey Hendrickson burning the edge. You're talking about Sam Hubbard on the strong side, DJ Reader, BJ Hill, Ogunjobi. They have a lot of big guys on that line. So I'm imagining you're going to say the advantage is going to go to the Bengals, which has been the better unit all year. But do you expect that the offensive line can continue its improvement, build upon what we saw last week?
I think so. It really, just like I say, it also about the short passing game and just putting the offensive line in the best position to win. And I think the short passing game would do that for them. But when you just break down the one-on-one matchups, whatever, especially on the edges and not knowing who's going to play right tackle, and then you already know what we're getting from left tackle. It's a pretty scary sight to me. DJ Reader was a snub in my opinion when it comes to Pro Bowl, man, because he does everything that we would want out of a nose tackle. I'm not saying that what we've been seeing recently from Brandon Williams has been stellar, but DJ Reader has been doing it all year, like continuously. And then Larry Ogunjobi has been a dominant force at the 3 tech. I don't know how many sacks he got, but he has, I know, +5 or +6. So
Yeah,
it's up there. So it's one of those things where you look from from their left to their right. It's one of those things where it's a scary sight. But if we can find a way to cancel out their effectiveness, that it would help out a lot tremendously.
Now, Alec, I noticed last week too that the rush lanes weren't respected as much when Tyler Huntley was in the game as they are with Lamar. And I remember tweeting out during the game that, man, these rush lanes are right there, and wait till Huntley's going to take a chance and take advantage of these as the clock keeps ticking. You need yards, and everybody's gassed on defense. What do you make of this matchup between the Ravens offensive line and the Bengals defensive line?
I mean, I echo Garnett in that you look at these one-on-one matchups, you look at some of the names on the Bengals line, and there's reason for concern. Trey Hendrickson, he's apparently 1 sack away from the record of consecutive games with a single sack. So I know he'll be hungry for that. And then you got, all the other players you mentioned, Hubbard, Reader. Reader was just dominating the run lanes. Makes me quite nervous going into this game, particularly with our geriatric running backs. So, you got to have Bozeman step up, right? You have to have Bozeman really step up there. You have to have Cleveland really drive through and step up. I will say I am very keen to see how this line performs with Cleveland there a second week. Villanueva had one of his best games as a pass blocker, and I think Cleveland's improvement in the pass blocking realm, looking for work there, could be the reason why he had more success. So I'm curious to see now with another game with Cleveland if AV has another good game, and then of course with McCary coming back, if he's relatively healthy, and I think he would be. Obviously, his hands are really important, but it sounds like I think he'll be able to play at a pretty high level from coming off this injury. And if he can do his normal mirroring, I think this line could be one of its better forms that we've seen all year, honestly. So that's somewhat encouraging for a team that's otherwise pretty depleted with injury.
So Garnett, what did you make of Ben Cleveland's performance last week when he, start to finish?
I think it was pretty damn good job compared to what no shade at Powers, but I like what I saw, man. He was able to anchor down when he needed to. He was able to you know use his hands and get his hands on people quick and then make adjustments and pass off blocks that he needed to make. I felt like he did a well-rounded job. There's always room for improvement. If you want to be a stickler and try to say, he's not aggressive in the run game or how you want to look at it, but it's one of those things where you know it's not his first game, but in a weird way, I'll somewhat look at it as his first game. You know what I mean?
Right.
Especially just the snaps. Being able to play a full. I don't know what was the snap count. If you don't mind me
He
telling me,
played the whole game. He
he
played the whole
played.
game.
Yeah, he played the whole game. So it's like one of the things where you get in a nice rhythm, you can feel your way into a game, and it's going to be cake. Hopefully,
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to that this game, Garnett, because divisional games kind of bring it out in you too. I mean, it's going to be a dogfight for the division title pretty much, and you like to see those with the. But yeah, Alec, I noticed that with Cleveland too. It's like even defensive linemen seem like they have to approach them a little different. Like it's like this brick wall. Like Cleveland, you run into him full speed, and his helmet snaps back, and that's about it. Like it's a totally different style player than Ben Powers. I like what I saw, but the last comments on the offensive line I wanted to get from you, Alec, is Ricard coming back to practice in a limited fashion these last two days, Wednesday and Thursday. It feels like we're going to need him a lot to help out with Villanueva on Hendrickson. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, him and Boyle. Boyle didn't practice today on Thursday, but he did. It was limited on Wednesday, so I think he'll be out there again. I think they're kind of managing his pitch count right now, but obviously having the Pro Bowler and Ricard coming back would be useful for this team. I imagine, I think we might get into it soon. This might be a game for him a little bit more heavies, and just because you have to respect this defensive line, and if we're going to have any chance of a run game there. It might be a good trade-off too, because Devin Duvernay is on the injury report with an ankle, and he hasn't practiced yet. So there's a good chance that he doesn't play at all. So when you lose a weapon like that, it might be I'm more willing to abandon 11 personnel more.
Right. Just go with 12 or 21 rather. Have Ricard in there with the running back Andrews and
or Boyle
just
with
have
Andrews.
Or Boyle with Andrews, and then just have your Hollywood and Bateman out there. All right, guys. So let's get into the run game of the Ravens. The run offense of the Ravens is ranked 5th in the league, 4.7 yards per carry. The Cincinnati rush defense, no slouch themselves, 8th in the league. They're only allowing 4.1 yards per carry. Garnett, you mentioned, or maybe both of you mentioned DJ Reader, how dominant he is with this rush game. And we saw Latavius Murray make an appearance last week, an emergence almost. Like he looked kind of fresh. Garnett, did you notice Murray looked like he had some new life in him?
he did. His first two steps out of the backfield were like turned up. Like he was coming out of there with a rocket up his butt. Man, that was a beautiful thing. Like it was the fastest I've seen him ever since he's been in Baltimore. It's like he was going downhill with a vengeance. So yeah, that was different.
Yeah, and so neither one of these, the running game really didn't have much luck against the Bengals in the first matchup. It was just a lot of nothing. So, Alec, how are you looking at the running game? Is Freeman and Murray back in a timeshare? Do you think, or would you ride with Freeman, try to up tempo him a little bit? How would you play it in this run game?
Yeah, the way I'll play it is probably more Freeman than Murray, even after what we saw last week. I don't think that's the way it'll actually get played, though. I do think that they're going to be splitting more. McCrary's still on the COVID list, so it is Tyson's chance to shine if they ever gave him the ball, but they won't. So I guess, it's going to be those two guys. Unfortunately, if you're looking at what you said, you were like the 5th ranked team in running. That's all the quarterbacks, though, right?
Yeah.
So
and
you're
it showed in the first matchup, Alec. Lamar against the Bengals, 12 rushes, 88 yards. The next top runner for the Ravens was Freeman. He had a total of 14 yards in that first Bengals game. So, this is a crucial part of the game to stay balanced. Like, how in the world are we going to be efficient here, Alec?
I worry about it, man. I really don't know how they're going to be able to run with any effectiveness. They really haven't shown too much of it all year. This is obviously a really good run defense with Reeder and everyone else kind of just dominating the line. You got Pratt, Sam Hubbard from Ohio State, homegrown guy, so to speak. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't give you much confidence. I think the only way that you can really maybe make them pay is if they're really respecting a passing game for whatever reason. Um, I do have concerns though, just the Roman playbook. I'm not trying to bash Roman here. I'm just saying, like, we saw a couple times Murray, for instance, was like split out wide. And I understand, like, from a personnel perspective, they were trying to keep him honest, but like, I don't know.
Try to see if they were in man coverage or not.
Right, but like he's like split out wide. He never even motions to like the backfield. So that guy is like not a good wide receiver. Like, I mean, he had some good catches in space, but like, let's be real, like he's not going to run some crazy route. So
Right. He's a dump off guy, pass pro, dump off.
right.
Back.
So like him being like the wide left receiver is not not the idea,
Yeah.
right? So it's stuff like that gives me a little pause too. So I'm not sure, man.
All right, Garnett, I'm going to give you my thoughts on the run game, and I'm going to let you follow up on if you could give your opinion, please. What I want to see is a mix. When I look at where I would attack, it would be at Hendrickson on that rush end. He's got a reputation for being an up and down player. He's got a reputation of being a good pass rusher and not so good against the run. Where if you look all across, you got Reeder in the middle, and you got Sam Hubbard, who's damn good against the run. So that's plugging up the other two spots. I'm running at Hendrickson, and really when I want to use Murray in this game, if he's used, double team Reeder, run right off of whoever's guard's hip is helping with that double team with Bozeman, and try to get to these linebackers. The Bengals are on they have one linebacker basically that they planned on playing, and that's Jermaine Pratt. He's had some struggles, some up and downs in his 2 years in the league. Their big dog, Logan Wilson's out. Their speed guy, Keem Davis Gaither's out. So they're down to Marcus Bailey. I believe he was a late round pick, kid out of Purdue. I remember watching him last year. Barely didn't make my draft list because we were pretty set on linebackers. It looked like to me with Patrick Queen and Malik Harrison. But, he's not, he was a 6th or 7th round pick for a reason, fringe draft guys. So I would like to see Freeman hit the edge on the left a lot, especially with Duvernay not being there on those jet sweeps. And then up the middle, you just got to get two bodies on Reeder and try to force that whatever linebacker's in the hole, to meet him in the hole and to drive them to get yards after the carry. Garnett, what are you feeling, man? Or, agree, disagree, build off of it? What's your ideas, buddy?
No, I'll disagree, and I'll take the bull by his horn and run straight at Hubbard. Reason why I say that, it would set up a over pursuing situation for Hendrickson if you do a read option, because of the fact that if you run at one side, I'm just saying, just strategically thinking this out, because it hit me like, well, if you run head on to them, use Boyle, to double down and maybe do a combo block or something in that situation. It might not be super successful, but if you can just do it sometimes consistently, like how we do every time, say we move the chains our first time, we do like a dive, like that's maybe like 1 yard or 2 yards. It really doesn't do nothing for us. Well, how about you just do like a zone type, like a zone run or a power run directly at Hubbard, and basically just keep on letting. I'm gonna say don't let Hendrickson get a free chase down, but get him so what's the word I'm looking for? So caught up, to where he's gonna be complacent. So when we do a read option to his side, it's like, it's one of those things where it'll catch him out of rhythm, catch him, hopefully you can catch him. Yeah, it's one of those things where I would like to see. But I think, just going back to your point when it comes to down, like, doubling up on DJ Reeder, he's a grown man. Like it's one of those things where I was speaking highly of him in a group chat that I was in. There's not nothing he can do in the middle, man. He owns it down there. And I feel like if Bozeman is going to need some help from Cleveland, and I think that we can get him if we go in an up tempo pace and get him tired. Don't let him sub out a couple times. I think we can win the battles once or twice down there. I believe so.
Nice. So let's move on to the passing game now. Hopefully, the Ravens can take some pressure off of this passing game by running the ball. The Ravens' pass offense is down to 7.1 yards per attempt. That's 16th in the league. The Cincinnati pass defense is around the same spot. In fact, exactly 7.1 yards per attempt allowed. So both teams both get and allow 7.1 yards per attempt. Cincinnati's 15th in the league. There's a lot of different ways to slice this, but I wanted to point out the difference in the play calling and the quarterbacks themselves, whoever you want to attribute it to. With Tyler Huntley, this is more of a quick strike offense. It's a higher completion rate. The deep shots have gone down. The yards per attempt have gone down, even though Tyler's completing darn near 70% of his passes. So this isn't the offense that we're used to with Lamar. With that in consideration, Alec, where are you looking at first in this passing attack? The Ravens look completely healthy at the receiver and tight end position at this point, knock on wood. However, Chidobe Awuzie, the Bengals' best corner, is on the COVID list right now. Man, that sticks out like a sore thumb if he can't play and Eli Apple has to take those snaps.
Yeah, well, we're relatively healthy. We do have Oliver out and, like you said, Watkins too. So, I mean, they're not like the hugest contributors, but they're there. When we look at the linebacker situation for the Bengals here, that's what gives me an optimistic view of Mark Andrews just continuing his dominance in the passing game. You got some guys there, like you said, that are practice squad or late round draft picks that are filling in for depth. You might be able to get them on kind of first and second down, being out there, non-obvious passing downs, be able to execute on that. And obviously, just look for the other rookie. They got Chase, we got Bateman, right? Looking for Bateman maybe to have his first touchdown this game. Obviously, I have full confidence in Marquise Brown, but the problem is right now with Huntley playing, I'm not sure, obviously, if that's going to be the case when it all is said and done, but they don't really have that rhythm and that chemistry so far. The deep passes haven't been there, like you said. When they do go deep, they're missed. So the offense is definitely different. I was saying with the guys, like, it's hard to say if the play calling changed because of Huntley or if they changed because they realized we should do a quicker passing attack to give less pressure to the offensive line, or if it's a combination of the two, right? I think it's a combination. I think there will be more short passing game with Lamar back there, but with Huntley, it's definitely going to be their high percentage. So you're just looking for these guys. Maybe Tylen Wallace or Prochet can have some opportunity with the other injuries. I forgot to mention it, but you brought it up with Duvernay up there, potentially for the jet sweeps. That really limits our running game even more so. And similarly, it kind of limits your passing attack because whenever he's out there, you have to account for him as a threat to do either. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on.
So Garnett, I didn't mention, of course, one of my favorite non-Ravens, Jesse Bates, true free safety. They also have Von Bell, hard-hitting safety, a lot of experience. They have, if Von Bell is covering Andrews, that's a decent matchup. Andrews, he kind of held Andrews down a little bit last time. Of course, they bracketed him and did other things for Andrews. But the way Andrews is rolling now, Garnett, I mean, even a guy like Von Bell, I feel confident that he can have a big game here. How about yourself, man?
Yeah, I think he can have a good. I feel like I think he's gonna have a good game. I don't know about maybe great due to just the hot run has Andrews been on. But if he does it, this is where the top 2, top 3 conversation will end. If he goes out there and dominates like a man possessed like he's man, it's over, man. And that's how I feel about when it comes to the Andrews situation, because the fact that it's one of those things where we see for the first week it was Bateman that had triple digits, but Andrews still did his thing, and then the following week it was just Andrews. So it was one of the things where I think he can have success against a Von Bell or Trey Waynes. They use him in the slot, sometimes, correct?
No, they have the former Steeler Mike Hilton in the slot.
Mike Hilton. So
right,
Mike Hilton,
but yeah, Trey Waynes might have to play though. In fact, it looks like he's it's either him or Apple on one side, and they might have to play both Trey Waynes and Eli Apple if Awuzie doesn't come off the COVID list. So there's a lot of ways to slice it. Garnett, what else are you thinking about the matchup? What about the corners and wide receivers?
I think Bateman will be able to be a nice, first down conversion tool like he's always been. I think that's going to keep on happening, and that's why I really think Hollywood and Huntley are going to be able to hit Dude a couple of times this game coming up. I just got a good feeling about it, man. Like how I think the curse has finally been broken about our getting our touchdown in the first quarter, so I can end that right there.
That's right.
But I think what it is just they just need more opportunities going vertically because one or two shots a game is not really helping out a quarterback, your backup quarterback going with deep shots. He just has to get in a nice rhythm of trying it out, trial and error. But
Yeah,
I think
I'm not as confident, Garnett, because like I feel like with Hollywood size, it's like you try to be too perfect. We've seen Huntley like overthrow Hollywood, whereas Bateman, he's like kind of putting it in the area where it could be a 50-50 ball. So like that's what's scaring me about like it might just take that trust factor and the working out on the offseason to get going with that.
Well, there's a concept that we always used to run with Hollywood where he would be in a slot and basically it was just a deep post to where if he was on the left hash or just inside the left hash and he shoots across and basically pulls that strong safety out of position or a corner post, I think what it is, or corner post, basically it gives the opportunity for Huntley to drop it in a bag. And for what we've seen, Huntley's an actual pretty accurate quarterback, or he'll put it in a precise area. So, like I said, I will feel confident if we put Hollywood in a better situation to where it would help out Huntley. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
So like use Hollywood more deep and just take the shots and try to stretch out the defense that way. What
Yes,
about
sir.
Bateman, Alec? Could you see a big game for Bateman? And as you predicted a touchdown, but man, I would kind of like to see like all three of those guys, all three of our main guys get 8 to 10 targets and really spread it out and find a weak link. How are you feeling about that?
I mean, I think Bateman's a player. I think he's a good guy, and he could have a big game. His yard after catch is really solid. I don't know if I can say there's a situation or a matchup that makes me confident that he'll have a big game in this game. But I did want to go back and kind of discuss a little bit about obviously Trey Wayne is his availability coming back. Eli Apple talking crap on Twitter. So I think Hollywood and like they saw it. Hollywood liked the tweet. So I'm sure he wants to burn him if he has the opportunity.
Nice.
Hilton's one of my favorite guys in the slot. I actually was kind of interested in the Ravens trying to sign him this offseason. I kind of like what he brings to the team. To go off your point, Garnett, about Hollywood deep, I think the biggest issue I have with Hollywood going deep is that it has to kind of be the read, right? Like the first read, because it seems like Huntley usually tries to go after his kind of first read. Like if he sees something underneath that's there already, he'll take it before it even has a chance to develop deep. So I think it might need some extra work to make that work out for us.
It goes back to kind of what Garnett was saying. Like, we're peppering Hollywood on these bubble screens, and obviously it looks like we're trying to take a couple of shots to him, but we're not really using the whole Hollywood route tree. So yeah, man, I agree. Those crossers, those deep dig routes that we saw Hollywood just dominate from really from his first year. I'd like to see them brought back. So Garnett, overall offensive philosophy, go ahead, give it to me. What's the game plan here on offense for the Ravens as they try to keep up with the Bengals?
I think we're gonna first we come out first quarter. I'm just gonna throw it out. Say our overall philosophy would be basically come out, be aggressive, exert dominance, run game wise, and then when it comes to the passing, I think it's gonna be still with the quick passing. But I think we'll throw a little wrinkle in there where it's a little bit more, run action. I believe. I think we're going to do that a little bit more than anything. And basically, I think it's going to be an X receiver game today. Not today, but when the Sunday comes around, it's going to be an X receiver game. I think, Bateman will have it's going to be his game to win. What I mean by that, he might not score a touchdown. Hopefully, he does. But I think he'll be the one who's going to move the chains a lot for us in this game. That's what I believe. I think Andrews going to be double or bracketed most of the time across the middle, and I just see just literally the left side of the field being available for Bateman all day, especially if Huntley's just going off his first read, and they're just doing literally a one-on-one assignment out there. I
Right.
really think it's going to be one of those games where take what the defense gives you. I think that's what we've been doing really well lately, especially with Huntley in, which is crazy to me. Like we should have been doing this the whole time with Lamar, but like it's literally take what the defense gives you, and then you live and fight another day. Just make sure you're not chasing points in the first quarter. Cough,
Yeah.
cough.
Yeah. So so it's, we've been going like all or nothing, a lot of all or nothing. And then, of course, to break that up, the Mark Andrews show, who's like all over the field. But yes, quick screen to Hollywood or deep to Hollywood. I like what you're saying there, Garnett. Alec, how about you? Could you see this game being run through Bateman and just say, hey, look, instead of throwing at the line of scrimmage to Hollywood, completing it 100% of the time and watching Hollywood try to fight for 3 to 5, 6 yards, maybe we go to Bateman on a slant. We only complete 60, 70% of them, but we might hit one of these things.
Yeah, let's do it, man. I love Bateman, man. Every time he gets an opportunity, the guy's a chain mover. He is physical at the point of attack, like great at the catch point. I mean, there's no reason not to want to use that guy more and more. It seems like he has these games where he like asserts himself and is the weapon that we're trying to use, and then he'll kind of disappear and not get targeted at all. Last week he only had a single catch, so I think obviously we're looking for a lot more production out of him this week. And if you looked at it, it wasn't like some kind of magical attention was given towards Bateman for him not to get those touches. Like it was,
Right.
So I think it definitely can be brought into it. And, they said in the press conference a couple weeks back, they're not trying to like artificially create targets for guys. I kind of call BS on that, right? Because like they artificially try to create a target in the 2-point conversion to Mark Andrews, right? Like there are plays that are schemed up where the first read is player X, right? Like you can call those plays. Mind blowing. So whatever. But yeah, I think there's definitely a good chance that that this game could be won by Bateman.
All right, great stuff there on the offense. The only other thing I wanted to throw out there that hasn't been mentioned is to use Freeman out of the backfield on some design swing passes, some good old-fashioned screens to get those cornerbacks trying to tackle. Trey Waynes and his tackling I've seen go up and down. Eli Apple, same thing. And then you got the linebackers that they don't want on the field. Logan Wilson was killing us last time, chasing sideline to sideline. They don't have that this game. So I'd like to see a few swing passes to Freeman like we saw in Huntley's first start in Chicago, where the running backs were targeted 8 times. I could definitely see that being a big part of the game plan this week against Cincinnati. So as we move on to the defense, this is where things get a little bit scary for the Ravens with so many players out. Mentioned before, Madubuike in Houston. Alec doesn't expect them to play because of what happened with COVID in the Detroit game. Also, Pernell McPhee, Chris Board, Christian Welch, they each get time. They're not technically linemen, but they're going to be up there around the box themselves. So when you look at the Bengals offensive line, they have a weak spot at right guard and right tackle. So it's a spot that the Ravens can exploit. But the question is, who's going to be available? I'd like the Ravens in this matchup, no matter if we're just going with Broderick Washington, Brandon Williams, Calais coming back, it looks like slowly from practice. I think this is still an area where we could handle ourselves pretty well. Alec, how are you feeling about the line? How should we match up against this Bengals line?
You're right. The weakness right now is their right guard and right tackle situation. Right guard, they're about 3 deep. And unsure who's going to probably play there. Probably Genie, I think is how you pronounce his name.
Edniji, yeah.
Edniji, and then Jackson Carmen could also possibly fill in there. And then right tackle, obviously with Reef questionable, that's where you're looking at Fred Johnson or Isaiah Prince playing. That's obviously the weaker side. And I would also want to point out, I think Trey Hopkins could be playing a little bit better these days than he was when we first saw him. He was coming off that ACL injury as well, but it was a little later in the year than Burrows. So it seems like he's kind of improved over the year. We saw them relatively early in the season back in October. So he might be a little bit more healthy now.
Week 7. Yeah, Garnett, I'm still looking at that monster, Adafio Way. And, I really feel like he'll have an advantage in this game. Tyus Bowser against right tackles like that, I can see being very effective. Uh, really all over the line. If we're healthy, we're going to dominate this matchup. But the question is, how healthy are we going to be?
Yeah, that's the real question. No one knows, man. We'll just have to play the waiting game. Um, yeah, if we don't get our guys back, man, it's gonna look like Roger Washington and whoever else. Hopefully Calais come back. It's gonna be a short, a short man show. And what I mean by that is just short on numbers. And that's tough. But I believe they can do their jobs on the field easily. I believe. And Bowser, Owe on the edges. I think especially on that right side. I think we can dominate them. But here's especially against when going against them when they run the ball per good pursuit. Feel like we'd be able to get off the blocks pretty damn good. But one thing that really scares me about their offense is they always get the ball out quick. But the other thing about this, I know I'm not trying to jump around to the secondary, but the interior. But we had a tackling problem last time we played them. I think that got fixed pretty damn good. We're not going to have that same issue where we're allowing them to break a lot of tackles in there. They're getting yak after it. So when it comes to the back to the line, though, I feel confident, but my confidence will be raised more when I see that maybe these guys will make a comeback from this COVID.
Yeah, and we've seen this defense, against Cincinnati. The first game, the score was 41-17. The Bengals won, and they got two big runs late to seal that game. We were talking about the missed tackle, but it wasn't their running performance wasn't due to their dominance on the offensive line. We've seen the defensive line for the Ravens stand up a time and time again. They haven't been the ones missing the tackles; it's the ones behind them. So it would hurt really bad if Matabike can't play in this game because he has absolutely killed these zone running schemes. And I could see him and putting pressure on their right guard. Like, man, Matabike playing would change this game on the defensive side, both the run and the pass, I believe. So that's something to watch. Let's jump into that run game since Garnett mentioned it. The Ravens' run defense, man, near the top of the league. They're third in the league. They're only allowing 3.9 yards per carry. And the Bengals' run offense, not good in yards per carry, if you can believe it, even with Joe Mixon. 4.0 yards per carry is 25th in the league. So there it goes. There goes back again to the Bengals not being able to really open up holes on a consistent basis for a good running back like Joe Mixon. Now, Mixon was banged up, but looks like he's practicing, and we should expect him in the game. Garnett, Bengals run offense, Ravens run defense. Let out the rest of the information you was holding back right there, man.
Yeah, so I like Quentin Spain. I just want to throw that out there real quick. I wanted that guy when we had an opportunity, when he was available. I wanted us to get them. It is what it is. But Joe Mixon, you brought it up. He's a really good back. Injury riddled sometimes, but when he's out there, he's pretty darn good. I feel that when it comes to the interior play overall, I think we're able to dominate them between the line of scrimmage, dominate them at the line of scrimmage. They don't really do an amazing job when it comes to combo blocking. From what I've been watching, especially when you have a beast or some kind of like an elite type of player of a Calais Campbell. Hopefully, if he's there. Or say hopefully Matabuke gets back, but I don't know. But I feel very confident in Roger Washington be able to come off the line with a rocket up his butt and basically getting off the blocks. So I'm not.
They're
really,
not moving that guy in the run
Yeah.
game. That's for sure.
No, absolutely not. So it's gonna be the ones where if they will have to go up tempo to tire us out. And I believe that they might try to take advantage of that, of those situations. But other than that, I don't really see us. I don't see them dominating us in the paint. I'm sorry, I don't.
So, Alec, I haven't really talked to you since Patrick Queen moved to Will, Josh Bynes, of course, plugging the mic, and then with us controlling the edge. Like, even if Joe Mixon is in the right position, screen passes were a big problem early on for us. Looks like that's gotten cleaned up too. How are you feeling about but just in the running game? the Bengals' ability to run the ball. I mean, the numbers would tell you that this should be a lockdown performance with the Ravens, for the Ravens, even without Matabike.
My buddies will tell you I'm in the bag for Mixon. I'm a big believer in him in fantasy football, but this is real football, and I think honestly, the Ravens been able to dominate. Their way to keep into the game last week was daring the Packers to run the ball and get themselves in bad situations, and I think that's the same formula here. You know, you'll have the Bengals think that they can run the ball. They're not going to probably have that much success, in my opinion, because of even with Madubuike out. And some of the other guys out. I think, you know, if you get Calais back and just Williams is playing at another level right now. Patrick Queen and Odafe Owe are a huge reason why this run defense has been so solid lately. They'll be in the game. I think these guys are able to clean it up. So I'm in a belief that, yeah, we'll be able to stop and slow down the running game and make it kind of work against them as far as tempo and play calling goes. But I will say, like, kind of talk about the offensive line a little bit. There's been so many matchups this year where we're like, oh, this right tackle is a liability or this guy's a liability. This is where the Ravens can feast, and they don't. I remember that was the case with the Miami game. Like, their right tackle apparently was a revolving door, and that didn't even seem to matter. So I really want to see the Ravens actually, like, you know, make something out of this mismatch. And that's kind of what makes me a little less confident. Is like we've seen this before from the pass rush perspective. So hopefully they're able to get that going, keep the run defense at the high level it's been all year, and win this game in the trenches.
Yeah, you know, as far as the run game, though, I feel really confident. It's the one area in the game I feel very confident, and that's because I don't see Tyus Bowser being moved in this zone scheme by Fred Johnson or Isaiah Prince. He's going to set the edge. Brandon Williams is not going to get wiped out by these guys. He's going to be where he's supposed to be. Broderick Washington, same thing. Adafi away, he's not getting. Jonah Williams isn't going to move him when he's over there. So as far as like being nowhere to run, this like the Dolphins, yeah, like I hear you, Alec. Like we haven't taken advantage of some weak spots, but that's mainly been in the pass rush from what I've seen. Like in run defense, I mean, we're shutting down Nick Chubb like Kareem Hunt like we were. Like, I don't see this Bengals, even without Matabike. Like I said, if Matabike plays, it's going to be a scary proposition for Cincy because it's going to be some TFLs, some tackles for losses. I can see Patrick Queen doing his thing, shooting a gap against this familiar run scheme. So this is the part of the game where the Ravens really, if they want to have a chance, they better take advantage of where they have the advantage. Wouldn't you agree with that, Garnett?
Yeah, man. Like I said before, man, make them fight the chains, man. Like let them go against the chains instead of going against us because you know those TFLs going to add up real quick and early, man. That really changes literally the philosophy of how you want to move the ball down the field. Instead of just hey, we're going to pick on Robert Jackson. How about we need to, you know, get us in good field position so we can get a first down type of thing. So yeah, I'm right there with you. Yeah, I'm sold.
Yeah, but at least let Robert Jackson defend a 3rd and 9 instead of a 3rd and 4. You know, big difference.
Exactly.
Alec, final thoughts on the Bengals run game, Ravens run defense here.
Yeah, like I said, this is probably one of the big keys of the game. This is the place that the Ravens can get leverage on this offense, kind of get command of the tempo and the play calling. So they got to dominate here because, as we're about to talk about, the passing game is not as clear cut of a way for them to succeed.
All right, guys. So we put off the passing game for 45 minutes. So we're going to have to talk about the ugliest part of the game. The scariest part of the game for the Ravens is facing Joe Burrow and this Bengals passing attack. The Ravens pass defense still struggling, giving up 7.9 yards per attempt. That is 30th in the league. And if you think 7.9 is a high number, well, the Bengals are first in the league. They're averaging 8.4 yards per attempt. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, CJ Uzoma, Joe Burrow. I mean, just a lethal passing attack. The Ravens, on the other hand, of course, have literally nobody left from their opening day lineup except from Tavon Young, who's just coming back to practice, a limited practice after having a concussion. So Tavon's status, just because you're back limited jogging around, doesn't mean you've been cleared for full contact. That's going to be a close call. Geno Stone on the COVID list. It's going to, and our dime backer, Chris Ward, on the COVID list. So we're missing guys all over the place, haven't been good in the first place, and we're going up against the number one passing offense, at least in yards per attempt in the NFL. Alec, make me feel, you got a Santa Claus hat on there, bro. Garnett, you see this, man? He's got a Ravens Santa Claus. Give me a Christmas present here with this soliloquy on our pass defense versus Bengals pass offense. Come on,
you're about to get so much cold right now.
All right. Let's see. So if we look at this matchup last time, right? How bad was it actually? Was it all bad tackling? Was it getting beat? It was a mix, but it was a lot of bad tackling. And I think the tackling's better. So, all right, we got tackling better. We know, like, stat sheet lovers everywhere will tell you the Ravens are a pass funnel. You know, you can't run against them, but you definitely can pass. Everyone's telling you play T. Higgins in your DFS lineups. He's cheaper and he could have a big play. I mean, that might be true. I'll be honest, right? Like that could be true. You know, I think Higgins was an interesting guy. I think he got 15 targets in our game last time, but he didn't have all that much production. It was almost all chase. But T. Higgins is a real good player. Boyd's all right too. Azuma obviously had a good game against us with the 2 touchdowns, kind of just wide open there. I felt like that the Bengals game last time, that was the pinnacle of our miscommunications. Maybe Miami game, but you know, it was really bad. The tackling was really bad. These things are relatively cleaned up, just with like a lot of people who figured out how to clean it up now injured. So you're looking at guys. I mean, you know, if Clark and Stone are both out with COVID, who's going to wear the green dot, right? Because that's who stepped in last week and did it. I thought a darn good job.
He did.
That's the concerning part. If you get one of those guys back, I think with what we saw with the corners, they're not great, but I think if Wink keeps disciplined, they can keep him in front of him and it won't be horrible. I really do think there is a path, because in the press conference, you know, obviously they have better ancillary weapons than Green Bay does, for sure. Green Bay is like completely leaning on Adams, whereas these three are all pretty darn good. I think, you know, Boyd's a step down, and they do love their 11 personnel. If you look at the snap counts from last week against the Broncos, 87% was the lowest for both Boyd and Higgins, so they're out there almost all the time. Chase was out there 90+%, so he's always out there.
Yep.
They're going to be forcing the issue. You need to have Tavon back, right? Tavon's going to be a huge part. If he's not back, that's red alert for sure. Particularly if Stevens is sick. Hopefully it's a stomach bug and not like a late breaking COVID, because you know he's been so critical too. Back there, he had one of his best games. I called for him to get an interception in Ravens recap. Now he might not even play. So
I mean, we're down to Levine and Tony Jefferson, for Pete's sake.
I can't see Levine out there, bro. Like, I mean, I know
he was out there last week. Yeah,
I know he was out there. I know he was, and I'm hoping that with an extra week of practice, Jefferson's able to take some of those snaps, because man, like, you know, Levine, CoCap, you're great on special teams. But yeah, there's a reason he hasn't played any defensive snaps until last week, right? I don't want that to start
so Garnett, I'm hearing a lot from Alec about basically, look, we were pretty bad in the effort department last time, tackling, pursuing. Like Alex saying, even though we don't have as good of players as we did last time, that those players didn't play well. We're playing better as a unit now. I guess I can agree with that. But is there any kind of like you mentioned, just keeping them behind the chains? Let's go right to the Wink here. Now, Wink only blitzed 6 times last week, Garnett. He was your guy. He only blitzed 6 times last week. You called it. You said, hey, we saw the Wink adjustment in Kansas City. We expected him to do it to Aaron Rodgers. He did it to Aaron Rodgers. How about Joe Burrow, though? Remember, we got a little blitz happy the first time against him.
I don't think we're going to learn, man. I don't think we're going to learn.
Garnett, he's hurt. His soul is hurt.
No, because like you saw the press conference, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't really take that. I don't really take that.
It's a lot of farts and whistles, man.
I think it's just, you know, a bluff that he's trying to do. But at the same time, though, it's like I'm watching. I'm like, he's bluffing. and then like the back of my head, like maybe he's not bluffing. You know, I mean,
No.
it's like yeah,
Garnett, did you see
it's
the
a
way
joke.
we played Devontae Adams? Did you
Yeah,
see the way we played him? There's
yeah,
no way we're playing another player like that. That was the most insane thing I'd ever seen. The Bengals have T. Higgins and they have Tyler Boyd and they have Azoma. We're not going to dedicate two people within a 5-yard area
yeah,
for Jamar Chase. Like I can't
yeah.
see that happening.
Yeah, I don't see that happening either. I'm not talking about the creativity of like trying to bracket or double team a guy like but I see what with I don't think we're gonna wink a lot. Maybe early in the first down or if it's 3 and 9. I don't even think we're gonna do that on 3 and 9 or plus 3 and 9 or plus. I just see that maybe on the first or second down where we know it's gonna be a heavy run or whatever. We're probably gonna do that, but I don't see a lot of winking this week, man. I think we learned our lesson. You know, the young kid put up 200 yards on us. I think we, I think it'll be our priority. It's gonna be our number one priority to not let him get the big play or allow big plays to happen. I just don't see a lot of winking. Maybe, like I said, on first or second downs, like I've been saying it's a formula, man. Like it's ever since we've been talking about the winking situation. That sounds so weird when I'm saying it, but every time we've been talking about winking and all that, it's like one of those things where if we wink early, we're good. I'm serious, but Jason knows what I'm talking about. It's like Jason
We
exactly
go
knows what I'm talking
overboard
about.
with it. We go
Yeah,
a
we
little
go
overboard with it. Yes.
exactly, man. You can't be winking a lot like that, man.
So the Ravens aren't even in the top 3 in blitz percentage now. Like Wink has
Exactly.
calmed himself down, gone against what he really wants to do. But Garnett, we only got 1 sack on Burrow the last time. Here's the question I'm going to ask to both of you. Garnett, I'm going to start with Alec, but I want you to pick up on Alec on this one.
Yeah.
If Joe Burrow has time, he is extremely good. You cannot, if you let him sit back there, he's very good. But he's also very good against the blitz. So, Alec, how much are you going to mix in the blitz? Let's say, last week against Green Bay, we really didn't blitz. We only blitzed 6 times. A normal blitz game for us would be around 20 to 25 times. Give me a range, Alec. Give me a range between, let's say it's a normal 65 to 70 snap game. Are you blitzing more towards 6? You blitzing more towards your 20 to 25? Give me a number range, Alec.
I'm gonna be kind of a coward here, and I'm gonna say we're gonna get a mild wink, and probably get like 12. Kind of.
That's a half. That's like a half wink. Yeah,
it's a half wink. I think you're looking at a guy who has this broken pinky situation on his throwing finger. Doesn't seem to be mattering from a throwing perspective. The zip saw is still there. Maybe he'll get surgery in the offseason to correct it, but it seems like he can play. No problem with it. So that's not even helping you out. Like you said, he's good against pressure.
he's good against blitzes, but he's great when when they don't hit home. When he's got his 3 seconds to sit there, he's as good as they get. Like even
isn't everyone
compared
though?
to others.
I mean, in a way,
no,
like
compared to the league, his numbers when
yeah.
given ample time and space are great, and his numbers versus 5 rushers or more are great. So there beeth the conundrum with Joe Burrow. If you get pressure with 4 and actual pressure, you're going to be okay. But if you don't, every other avenue is ixnayed.
That's a huge issue, right? Is that let me put it this way: if they come out through the blitz, so I think it was last time too, right? Last time they had issues on their offensive line. We were like, oh, we can attack them there, but they weren't even getting it with their 4-person. They bring out the blitz, and it still wasn't enough. In those situations, you're going to get eaten alive because if you don't come home on a blitz, like you might as well forget it. With that passing attack, they'll find the right person. So it's so critical, I think, to me, that they have effective 4-man rushes, such that when they do blitz, it is like inevitable, right? Like he's definitely quaking in his boots because even 4 would get in there. You bring 5, you give him 6, free rusher, break up the whole play. So I think, to me, their level of blitzing will probably come down to the effectiveness of their non-blitzing downs.
Garnett?
Yeah. Joe Burrow, I think I remember last time we were talking about I forgot I should have posted up the stat. I think I did earlier this week on my Twitter, but I'm not blitzing the dude, man. I know he has been a little I'm saying he's come down to earth a little bit from earlier about how he's been exposing the blitzes, but still though, like the one thing about this is a division game. He knows us more than the other teams that he faced during that run of like the blitzes. And right now, I would trust my front four. I'm gonna trust Bowser. I'm gonna trust Oway to get home. Like literally get home. I'm gonna give those pressure counts, like those snaps, to make it. They got to make it count. Like
So
this
that's
is
what you want to happen. What do you think's going to happen? Because the
what
first thing you said was, "I don't think we're going to do it." How many blitzes you think we're going to send? What's your guess? What's Wink going to do?
I'll say about eight blitzes. Eight blitzes
So
this game.
you think he's going to go light? That's light.
Yeah, it's
So
like
yeah, that would be great, man. If we're blitzing, 6, 7, 8% of the time or whatever. That's nothing. That's run blitzes and all that, Garnett.
yeah. What that thing about? Like, are you really gonna do that? Are you really want to do that to your secondary with Robert Jackson or a Kayvon Seymour or US at free safety? For all we know, man, we don't like
Yeah.
we're the situation where you don't want to do that to guys that don't know how to communicate with each other in the back end. That's how I'm thinking, man. You don't want to expose them out like that.
Yeah, it's just a mess back there. It's hard to blitz when you don't have that communication and the disguise of the blitz. Like that's out the window with all new guys. So yeah, it's going to be hard to blitz. I think, we're going to blitz a few times. We're definitely going to blitz at some point in this game, but man, we really have to be careful and picky and choosy. So overall thoughts on the game, Garnett, let you go first. How are you
Just
feeling about this game, man? What do you got for me? Any predictions? Any kind of a pep talk? Whatever you got, sir. Floor is yours.
pep talk shit. They're gonna need. Well, my bad. Excuse my language. They're gonna need a lot more than a pep talk, man. It's one of the things where, hey, this is the playoff run right here. This is where you tell the cliche, our season starts now. Leave everything out there, full 60 minutes. I'm just gonna say like how I've been saying the whole time, man. Literally, all I want is basically coaches to put these young men and older men in the best situation possible and let them be the reason why we win or let them be the reason why we lose. And it's one of the things where that's that. Two, if you go down there and you cannot, punch it in, you get your three early in the first quarter. Like that was my biggest gripe. I know a lot of people want to go the math route, but in on a football term, when it comes to momentum, it plays bigger in my head. Like just to get your 3 points when you can, and then three is basically don't put your corners in a situation to be tore up, especially with like Robert Jackson had no business being put on Adams. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where let's try to take care of these guys in certain situations, and I think we can win. I really do believe we can win. I think if we play stout defense up front, how we talking about, get a couple of TFLs, maybe a sack or two right there, and just like I said, just play smart ball, man. I truly believe that we could do something. I'm hoping a big game for Bateman. I think Bateman will be, like I said, the key reason why we will win this game. And maybe 1 or 2 shots to Hollywood will be cool. Would be the icing on the cake. But Bateman, obviously, Andrews is going to eat. And like I said, if Andrew goes off 3 times in a row like this, I think he's
Number one, number two, one of them. Yeah.
It's over. Like seriously. So that would say, just like I said, coaches call damn near a perfect game, and players better match the effort. I know you're never going to call a perfect game, but you know what I mean. Just put these guys in the right position to be successful.
How about yourself, Alec? Big shoes to follow there, Garnett. Sergeant at arms, cleaning his arms before the game. I heard. Right. So yes. So what do you have for us tonight, Alec?
Yeah, I mean, I told you in the Pick'em show, I think the Ravens are going to cover. They're a 3-point underdog right now. What I didn't tell you is I also bought the money line on them. I think they're going to win. And the reason why is I think they're just that scrappy team. Now, I will tell you, their jersey situation is a concern. They're wearing white jerseys with black pants in Cincinnati. This is their 10th time doing it. Yeah, their 10th time wearing this combination in Cincinnati. They're 2-7. Thank you to Ravens Uniforms on Twitter for this information. One of my favorite accounts. I love this analysis of uniforms. I really do. So they're looking to get the 3-10 or 3-7 out of this 10-game situation, wearing this uniform combination. But in all seriousness, I think it's going to all come down to big plays. I think a turnover. We didn't really talk about that. You can't expect this secondary to come up with it, but maybe you can expect your front seven to, get a fumble somewhere. That would be so huge. To win the turnover battle in this game will be huge. I'm gonna say again, sorry, Garnett. I think the Ravens' aggressiveness is what's going to win them this game. I called it in Ravens recap. A 2-point conversion is going to be what does it. We're going to go back to that well.
Uh-oh.
Ravens fans everywhere are going to be, cursing at their television set, and you're going to just see Stone Cold Killer Harbaugh on the sideline just being like, let's go. It's going to work out. There'll be a
Randy
great
Marshing it. Harbaugh, Randy Marshing it once again. Garnett, man, come on. You can't just sit there and take that.
No, so or can you be more in detail what you mean by being aggressive? Like, are we
He's
talking about
he's going for it on 4th down, and he's going to go for it for 2. That's what he's talking about.
No,
Same things we did last week.
But are we talking about going for it in the first quarter?
Going for on 4th? Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, it's all about situation to me. Like, I don't really care what time it is. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, my whole thing.
Garnett, hold on for a sec, Alec.
Yeah.
Didn't I tell you last week, Garnett? Didn't I say we were going to get the Kansas City Chiefs Harbaugh last week?
Yeah, and it happened. He went full
nailed
Kansas
it.
City.
I knew he was going to do it, man. I did, for better or worse, I just felt like he was going to try to get the points in this game. So if my own personal thing, I'm not sure if he goes full. I don't think he respects the Bengals offense as much as he does the Chiefs or the Packers. So I don't think he goes like full, balls to the wall Harbaugh, but I still think he's, expecting a conservative Harbaugh is Alec.
Yeah, you don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the thing is, the main reason I was okay with going for it there and it not succeeding, obviously I'm all about results or process over results. Like, I really don't care about the results in a way, which I know is like hard for a lot of people to believe or deal with. But I think the big thing too is the big thing is, though, you force them with a very short field. They were conservative. They ran the ball. They held right into our hand, 3 and out, great field position. They went down and scored a touchdown. So it's like, you got to remember that part of the game plan as well. When you do go for it and you fail that close. So I think there's a lot to it. But yeah, I think they'll be aggressive. And honestly, man, I think that's why the Ravens have been so scrappy. It's not just the players are really good and the coaches are scheming up well. It's that the coaches are willing to take every single little edge, be it 2% here, 3% there in these situations and just be like, you know what? Like, we're going to go for it. We're going to see what we can do. And, maybe it doesn't work out. Maybe you lose a game. But I think that's the reason, or one of the many reasons why we're keeping it.
So Garnett, man, I have to say this. We have turned the full wink, half wink, no wink around. Now we have a full Harbaugh going on.
Oh,
Alec is expecting. Alec is expecting a full Harbs. I don't know if I like the way that sounds, but yeah, he's expecting Harbaugh to.
I'm not Harbin. I'm not Harbin in
no Harb. No,
he's
Harb.
playing hardball.
Playing straight up.
No, like I'm all about it. Like, perfect example, like the 2-point conversion in the 4th quarter. I'm about it. The play call. No, I think we're all about that. That's what I'm saying. It's right. Those things were, like I said before. I coached a little football here and there, especially when I was in Japan, try to help out with the high school teams and stuff. So basically, the inner coach in me, or the little inner coach in me, is telling me you take the points when you get them. And every situation is different. Green Bay has a horrible special teams. So it's one of those things where we saw it. The kick that, the little pooch kick or the little, teardrop kick that Tucker did.
They also ran into Duvernay on the punt return, which was weird.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things where just, you get your 3, never know what's going to happen. But same time, though, like, you got 3, and then guess what? You could have had, I'm not saying shoulda, coulda, woulda. I'm not doing that. Screw that. But just know that I'm all about, if you're down there, you better come with something. You better leave with something. and we
I
didn't leave for
gotcha.
nothing. That's what I'm all about, man. So I'm all about, harbing, I guess you want to call it. If you want to harb it up, I can harb it up with you in the fourth quarter. Because that's where most of the time in the fourth quarter, you can tell who has the momentum about that time. In the first quarter, you're still trying to figure yourself out. You know what I mean? Trying to figure out, we lost 3 games by a total of 4 points. So that it's one of those things where how you want to look at it, being aggressive is good and being aggressive is bad, but it's all about timing. So I agree with you. I'm right there with you, Alec. But there's a
But
place.
early, take them points early is what you're saying. Yeah.
There's a place and a time to harb it. You know what I mean?
So Garnett, I do know Alec a little bit. We work together some. So I'm gonna put some pressure on here. A Christmas Carol, Alec. You got the Santa Claus hat. Don't let me down, brother. 3, 2, 1. Give me something.
I mean, Santa Claus is coming to town. You know what I'm saying?
So
Garnett.
okay. All right. So jingle bells, Bengals smell.
Chase laid an egg.
Chase laid an egg. Let's see. What's the boy name? Bert. Oh, I can't even use that. 'Cause I can't use the whole jingle bell, Batman smell, Robin laid an egg. I'm trying to think of a term. I can't even think of.
Yeah,
All
we're
right,
not breaking
struggling.
any
I'm
wheels.
struggling.
That was
Yeah.
good, dude.
Yeah.
That's
Pretty
plenty. That's plenty for the show. Yeah,
Okay.
that was plenty work. Yeah. So I thank you to my football family. Thank you to Alec. Check out his Ravens recap link below. Garnett, new Twitter handle right there. And we'll be back with you guys next week. Hopefully, we'll have our friend Jake back. Hopefully, New Year's isn't a family holiday for Jake, and we can have him back on the show. So, Garnett, Alex, say goodbye to people now.
Hey man, see y'all. Hopefully we come out with a dub.
Get
Yeah,
it.
big Tros.
Whoop.